Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How y'all doing? Okay, today I'm in the kitchen. I'm cooking for someone else. Sometimes people get me to cook food for them. So over here I'm going to cook a big pot of chili. And over here we're going to have lima beans sausage. So now I've already scrambled up my ground beef. And I also have a roll of Jimmy Dean sausage in there. I usually use the sage sausage. This time I'm using the hot because they didn't have the sage. Okay. I'm going to get this cooked down, and then I'm going to pour this oil off of this meat. Okay, so with these lima beans over here, they're the large lima beans. At first, I put them in the pot, and I went through them, and I picked out all the ones that were damaged, and I took those out in the trash out, and then I rinsed these lima beans. And these are the dried lima beans by Dixie Lily. It's a large bag. I don't usually measure anything when I'm cooking, but you can see in this pot about how much water is over your beans. Probably about 2 inches. And remember, when you're cooking lima beans, if you have to add water, always add hot water. Because when you're cooking lima beans, if you have to add water and you add cold water, it'll make your lima beans hard. And you don't want that. So always add hot water if you have to add water to your lima beans. And something else when cooking lima beans, don't stir. Just use the back of the spoon and just push those beans around in the pot. Go all the way to the bottom. Because when you stir lima beans, it separates the outside of them. And it beats them up where they don't keep their shape. Now, I love onion when I'm cooking. This is a large onion. I'm going to probably use all of it or just about all of it. Normally I just cut it up in there, but sometime I will cut it up in my bullet and just put it in there just very fine, grind up. So if you don't like a lot of onion, or you like them but you don't like big chunks of onion, put it in your food processor or your bullet and just grind it up. some people love onion, but they don't want to bite down on chunks of it. Me personally, I love onions. I don't mind the chunks in there. Okay, so I've drained all of that oil off of the ground beef and sausage. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my onion together and put in there. And I put a little bell pepper in my chili. But some people don't like the bell pepper, too much of it in there. So sometimes bell pepper can be overwhelming. Okay, so now got that onion, half of that big onion for my chili. I put half of it in there, grind it up in that bullet. And the other half, I'm just going to cut it up in there. So I'm going to add some red pepper to the green bell pepper, just a little, about a handful. So try to keep some in the freezer. Garlic, mince the garlic, about the same amount in my black and excuse me, my lima beans. Black pepper, onion powder, yes, I put fresh onion and garlic and powdered onion and garlic. Sassoon, this is the McCormick chili seasoning pack. I love using this too. Now with my lima beans, I'm gonna add sausage. But now if you're someone that like lima beans and you want to add like neck bones, or even I cook lima beans with chicken, with thighs, chicken thighs, because that's healthier, and the chicken thighs is the fattiest part of the chicken, so that's where all the flavor is. Although I don't necessarily like chicken thighs, I like it for cooking sometimes. I'll eat them, but I'm not a big fan of chicken thighs. I mean, I'm not a real big meat eater anyway. Okay, you know I told you if you have to have water added to your beans, use hot water. So that's what a tea kettle comes in handy. Not just for tea, but also when you're cooking, when you need to add hot water to something. So I'm just going to turn that water on in that tea kettle just in case I have to use hot water. Now, like I was saying, if you want to cook your beans with with neck bones or pigtails or whatever, because we're in the South, honey, we use neck bones, pigtails. I don't use as much of the pork as I used to as I get older for health's sake. But we use smoked neck bones, pigtails, fresh and smoked turkey neck. You can put in those lima beans. Now, if you were going to cook your lima beans and you want to cook meat like that in them, like the neck bones, smoked or fresh, of the smoked turkey necks, of the pigtails, you would start that cooking pretty much off with those beans. What you would do is put that meat in a pot. You wash it good and put it in the pot and boil it for maybe about 10 minutes and pull that first water off and get that kind of that scum that's going to come up off that water. Wash it good. And then when you wash it good, already have your beans in a bowl, being, pick through them. Get the trash, and I call them in the ugly beans out. I don't like ugly beans or ugly fruit. But you get that all out of there. And then when you get your meat clean and back in the pot, and you got your beans picked, and you've rinsed them off good with cold water, then you pour them right on in the pot with that meat, and you start them to cooking at the same time. Put water in that pot, let it come up over that beans and meat. Shake it down so it'll be kind of level, and let it come over the beans and meat and start cooking that. Probably cook it on about medium high. Probably going to take it a couple hours to cook. Okay. This is chili powder. That's going to really give it that chili taste. This is ground ginger. And just a dab of curry. Don't let nobody tell you what you don't supposed to put in food. You can put any seasoning you want in food, as long as it tastes the way you want it to taste. Let that cook down for a little bit. Just a little bit of seasoned salt. I prefer Lawry's seasoned salt, onion powder. Little garlic powder. I didn't put too much of that seasoned salt because I know I want to use this in there. And like I said, you season your food the way you want it to taste. Don't let nobody tell you what you're not supposed to use and you can't do that. Because sometimes I don't use this base. But since I like the taste of it, I'm going to use it today. So don't let nobody tell you, oh, you're not supposed to do that, or you're not supposed to put onions in collard greens. I put onions in my collard greens and everybody loves them. I mean, they be drunk with onions. Now remember, if you're going to cook lima beans and you're going to put smoked meat in them, beware of the salt, because smoked meat is salty. When you boil it off for about 15 minutes, that's going to get some of that salt off. But still beware. Okay, so now I've added a little more water. Now I'm going to add a can of stewed tomatoes in here. Excuse me, not stewed, but crushed. Crushed tomatoes. Walmart brand. Crushed tomatoes. That's a 23-ounce can. Okay, so when I make my chili, like with my lima beans, I'm using dried lima beans in the bag. But when I make chili, I use the can. Now I'm going to use 1 can of the red kidney beans. This is my 5-bean chili. I have an 8-bean chili that I make sometimes with 8 different beans. But that's my kidney beans I'm going to put in there. I'm putting in the light red kidney bean. Chili bean, 2 cans of chili beans. 2 cans of the light red chili beans. 1 can of the dark red kidney beans. And I like pork and beans in my chili. I'll put 2 cans of that in there. And I'm going to put 1 can of white kidney bean. So now I've drained my beans. And I'm going to put them into my chili base. Be right back. I got to wash this colander because certain things, if you don't wash it right then, like that colander, that food and stuff gets stuck and hard. And it'll be a mess to clean. Okay, so I got everything in this pot now. So I didn't use quite all the beans. I'm still going to put my pork and beans in here, but I'm not going to use all 3. I'm going to put 2 in here, but I'm going to put them in last because pork and bean is a bean that's very tender already. Okay, so I put 2 cans of light red kidney beans. I put 1 can of the white kidney bean. And I put that large can of crushed tomatoes. And I use 1 can of dark red kidney beans and a can of chili beans. So that's what I put in there. So 2 of the cans that I had I didn't use. I'm still going to use these pork and beans, 2 cans. But I'm going to wait till almost at the end. Oh, my pot trying on its job. Go ahead and see what these lima beans are doing. I have quite enough seasoning in it. Now with my lima beans, I like to use just a pinch of sugar. You don't want a whole lot of sugar. That's probably like a half a teaspoon. Okay? You don't want them to be just tasting sweet, but that sugar bring out that flavor. Also in your chili, you can use about a good teaspoonful in a pot like this. Once again, you don't want to use so much that it tastes sweet. You just want to bring out the flavor. Because I don't like for my food to taste sweet. At least it's supposed to. Season is still not right. See, when you put those beans in there, that bean take up a lot of that salt to taste. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, these are Roger Wood sausages. These are the spicy hot. Now I don't particularly care for Roger Wood because their recipe changed. They used to be delicious. However, when you put them in these lima beans, the fact that the lima beans are seasoned, they'll be just fine in there. Or you can use your favorite sausage. You see how small they're making these packs now, like we don't notice. Okay, so I just added the pork and beans to this chili. And when you stir your chili pot, always go all the way to the bottom of that pot. Because anything that you're cooking, when it starts to thicken, that's when it want to start sticking to the bottom of the pot. That's just about ready. And these lima beans all the way to the bottom of the pot. Don't just stir the top of the beans, because you don't want your beans to be sticking and you don't know it. Finally got that seasoning right. So now I've just rinsed off these sausage and I'm going to cut them up and they'll be ready for the pot. Okay. Now we're going to put these sausages into the beans. Something else I always use in my lima bean, even a pot that size, I always put a stick of margarine. This is the Imperial, but I usually like that just straight margarine. But this, I'm cooking this for someone else, and this is what they brought, so I'm going to use it. Now, margarine and butter is two different things. I notice a lot of people when they're cooking, and if a recipe calls for butter, they go in the store and buy margarine. Margarine and butter is two different things. You're going to find if your recipe calls for butter, especially if you're cooking a cake, the taste is going to be totally different with that butter. Okay, I got my sausages all cut up. Yes, I used the whole pack. You can just eat this by itself, or some people like to put it over a bed of rice. Or put this in a bowl and just put your scoop of rice right in the middle. Hold on. Okay, just sit right there for a minute. Don't get up. Did you eat your food good? You didn't eat much.
I got food.
I bet if it was pizza, you wouldn't have got full. Huh?
Oh!
If it was pizza or chicken nuggets, you wouldn't have got full. Or pizza rolls. See, you tell it on yourself.
Chicken.
Yeah, fried chicken.
Which are my favorite?
Eat your crackers.
Okay. Mr. Peanut Man.
Okay. So now we got our sausage in there. See it good? It is sticking up and everything. Beans from where they started. See that juice on there? So that's what beans would do. They're just sticking right on up. Don't forget, just push them around in the pot. Okay. Okay. This is the end result for the chili. Turn that off. And over here, the lima beans, fried lima beans with sausage. See, when you cook this, you don't really need to make another, you don't have to cook another meat. However, when my kids was coming up, I would cook this and always have fried chicken on the side. For some reason, we wanted it like that. Now chili, people usually just eat that by itself or with crackers, toast, and sometimes even with cornbread. Now, being in the South, you know we love rice. However, rice is not my friend. But that's like in the everyday meal is rice. So even with chili, you could put that over rice too. But just by itself, it's a hearty meal. And being in the fall of the year, still pretty warm here, but we're gonna have some real cold days coming up. And any one of these pots will be great for cold weather. Well, okay, that's it. I'm gonna cut that off. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. Cooking my 5-bean chili. And cooking my lima bean with sausages in it. So, you all have a good day. And I'll see you the next time in my next video. Bye-bye. And remember, this cooking is the way Miss V do it, and it's her opinion. Bye-bye.